nicest pieces for piano and orchestra by Liszt is practically unknown. It did have a little bit of a life of its own when Egon Petri used to play it, but that was quite some time back. Liszt knew very well the incidental music that Beethoven wrote for the play The Ruins of Athens. And whilst most of us have heard, at the very least, Anton Rubinstein's transcription of the Turkish March, Liszt went a little further and wrote a large fantasy based on three of the themes from this work. And he produced it over the years in many incarnations. There's a solo piano piece which is essentially the beginning of this work. There's another one which is the march. There's one which has all three sections. There is another piece called Capriccio alla Turca, which uses several of the themes but not in the same order. And then the long fantasy also exists for two pianos, in which it's essentially a reduction of the version that interests us most, which is the one for piano and orchestra. And then there's a long cadenza, which is setting up the next tune that you're going to hear, which has got loads of dissonant appoggiaturas in it, but it's punctuated with and so on. And then finally, the orchestra is allowed to play two bars in the middle of that, and you get and that might sound a little bit outrageous and modern, but the fact of the matter is that those notes are all by Beethoven. It's the chorus of the dervishes, and it's really quite tricky harmonically. It was certainly the most modern sounding piece in Beethoven's orchestral interludes and excerpts and things associated with this play. And there's a very long, marvelous development of all of that with the piano and the orchestra together, which culminates in and leads the way to a chromatic scale which leaves you tremoloing quietly up there, and the orchestra plays one last time. And you interrupt. And a couple of times of that, because we're heading for B flat major, but it's not until quite a bit later when you finally get. And the rest of the tune the orchestra has while you play a trio. And they have. So, because he knows he's got a bit of time on his hands before you get to the end, he's very restrained with what the piano is able to do with the march. And even when you get the whole tune yourself, it's. And it gives him absolutely enough time to build up to the best possible conclusion that you would expect him to write, and then goes back to the march from the beginning with the very grandest writing, and then puts a coda in which he has all of the themes going on one after another. It's one of those pieces which has become unaccountably neglected, but in that it is also, well, not by itself. Even pieces which in their day were enormously famous for piano and orchestra that only last, well, that are less long than a concerto. I think primarily of César Franck's Symphonic Variations, which is one of the loveliest pieces of music that lasts less than 15 minutes. And it's just, programming doesn't allow for them anymore. The deal of your overture, your concerto, and your symphony has meant that a lot of these little pieces disappear. Even Liszt's Hungarian Fantasy, which is enormously popular when anyone ever bothers to play it, doesn't get very many outings. The Ruins of Athens deserves one, and in the next Utrecht Liszt competition, we've managed to get it into the repertoire because we're concentrating on Liszt's relationship with Beethoven. So it gives us a very good excuse to rescue it from oblivion and put it in the hands of a lot of good young musicians. Thank you.